Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Steel City Sports Report, where we talk everything Steelers, Penguins, and Pirates. I am your host, Brady Vini. What is going on, good people? Wrapping up the week here in quick fashion here on this Friday, May 22nd. It is another dreary, rainy day in Western Pennsylvania, and the news as of late, aside from a bit of a happy topic we're going to start the show off here in a little bit with. The news pretty, dry and dreary itself. Not too much to talk about here today. Steelers OTAs, those are pretty much done for the week. We'll have more hopefully on Monday or Tuesday when we reconvene once again. But we do have some Pittsburgh Pirates to talk about. I am wearing this jersey with pride today. Felt like coming off of the weekend that we just had with the Pirates and, of course, the first game in their most recent series against St. Louis Cardinals. Felt like that the season was twirling and going straight down the drain. And it felt like a movie we've seen before. The Bucs, they get out to a hot start only to falter at a pretty bad time and not be able to recover. Thankfully, they did recover. Or at least I think temporarily they did. Is their entire season saved? For the time being, I will say yes. And there is still a glimmer of hope that this team can be different than the Pirates of old. So here in a few moments, we will talk about the Pittsburgh Pirates. Their exhilarating last two victories over the St. Louis Cardinals and a little bit of look ahead to this series this weekend against the Toronto Blue Jays and a certain new bat in the lineup for the Buccos. So some exciting times are here for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Hopefully they're able to continue off of the momentum they built in that Cardinal series, take it into these next two massive series against the Toronto Blue Jays and the Chicago Cubs. After that, just another small main topic to talk about here this evening in the hockey world. Nothing about the Penguins, but a big piece of information just learned by one of the Penguins beat reporters on the most important Penguins player of this generation. So some good news to talk about on that front as well. After that, we'll get into just a tiny bit of extra Pittsburgh sports news here on this Friday and head in to the long weekend together, ladies and gentlemen. We'll reconvene, like I said, back here on either Monday night or Tuesday night. Before we get this quick Steel City Sports Report episode underway, if you are new here, welcome to the channel. On your way in, please hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications so that you never miss a thing here on the channel. Again, like this live stream, share this live stream, and in the comment section, should you have any thoughts, questions, or opinions here tonight, please let your voices be heard in the comment section below. I can pop up what you say on screen at a moment's notice, and we can interact that way. Also, go check out the channel at Steel City SR on Facebook, Instagram, and X, and tune back in at some point a little bit later on this evening for a new edition of SCSR 60. With that, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, we're going to get things underway immediately here this evening and get into, for the first time in about a week, a truly happy Pittsburgh Pirates topic. The Bucs coming off of a terrible weekend in which they just got ugly swept by the Philadelphia Phillies. They blew a game back on Friday night, and they were able to get shut out in both games last weekend. And then game one of their most recent series against St. Louis Cardinals, that was not too pleasant either. It was a rough start for Mitch Keller. I mean, he was all right, but didn't have his best stuff. The Bucs bats woke up too little too late, and the Pirates bullpen was just absolutely horrendous. And then felt like this was a series for the Pirates where they needed to do something, and they needed to do something big if they were going to keep their season afloat, because let's face it, this year, the NL Central has turned into a gauntlet, and every single win is massive. Every single loss is just devastating. Had little hopes that the Bucs were going to be able to turn things around back on Wednesday night, but my goodness, did they find a way to do it, and in emphatic fashion. O'Neal Cruz was out of center field. He was the designated hitter going back to Wednesday night. Pretty much an A lineup for the Bucks without Ryan O'Hearn. They threw out there Nick Gonzalez, Brandon Lau, Brian Reynolds, O'Neal Cruz. Spencer Horwitz got a bump up in the lineup, as did Connor Griffin. And then Endy Rodriguez, who has been the hottest hitting catcher for the Bucks recently. He was in the lineup back on Wednesday night, as was the password, Joe Stinson Garcia, for his second ever start with the Buccos. The Bucks bats immediately woke up, or I should say they kind of carried their awaking state from the night previous into the next day. Spencer Horwitz, second inning, solo home run, 365 feet down the right field line. Don't look now, ladies and gentlemen, but Spencer Horwitz had a little bit of a slow start to the season. He is starting to pick up, and dare I say, Spencer Horwitz, you go and you look at the stats, maybe one of the most underrated hitters in all of Major League Baseball. I mean, you look at certain stats, certain analytics, and Spencer Horwitz, he is right up there in the top 10 of some of these categories league-wide. Not, a guy that has a ton of power, especially for a power-needy corner position like first base, but Spencer Horwitz, he can run into one every now and again, and he plays hitting balls into the gaps perfectly. So Horwitz starting to pick up with the bat a little bit. Glad to see that from him. Also starting to pick up with the stick. Young guys in the Bucks lineup. Joe Stinson Garcia, he was able to unlock another run. He scored a run from second base on a single from him. I think he had a 2-hit game going back to Wednesday night. Connor Griffin, he was able to come home on a sacrifice fly from Nick Gonzalez, who may be the best hitter on the Pirates roster currently. I know he's battling with Connor Griffin and Brandon Lau for that spot, but Gonzalez maybe very quietly working on a team MVP campaign for himself. Maybe even if he, starts making a little bit more splash plays, maybe he gets an all-star nod or at least finishes top 5 in voting, something like that. Don't want to rule that out for Nick Gonzalez, finally unlocking, I would say, some of that first-round bat potential. Carmen Mlodzinski back on Wednesday night. Not his best start of the season, but far from his worst as well. He was able to go 5 innings, only allowed 4 hits, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. He did throw 95 pitches. Would like to see a little bit more lofty strikeout total. I don't think 1 strikeout is going to, blow anybody away. And 95 pitches he threw back on Wednesday. That's a little bit high. Still, though, Mlodzinski not really giving you that much of a reason to take him out of the starting rotation. I know Jared Jones, he is going to be back here sooner rather than later. He might even be back with the Pirates and back in their rotation by this time next week. There's more information on Jared Jones coming up in the extra Pittsburgh sports news of the day, but Mlodzinski making it a really tough decision on who the Bucks may be taking out of the rotation. It felt like forever it was going to be him automatically. It still probably is going to be Mlodzinski because, good pitcher, good rotation guy, but he can be valued even more in the bullpen right now with their struggles. But Mlodzinski, man, you want to talk about a dude that can give you the perfect ability to stretch yourself out into a 6-man rotation and not really have any sort of downgrade in pitching performance night in, night out. Mlodzinski is that guy. Cardinals nearly came close back on Wednesday to getting a run in the run column, but Jake Mangum made an excellent sliding catch. There was also a nice defensive play on a tough pop-up for catcher Endy Rodriguez. Rodriguez, he then got an 8th inning rally from the Bucks started 2 nights ago. He's able to hit a single up to center field. Connor Griffin goes to third. Griffin, he then comes around to score thanks to a Jake Mangum hit. Mangum scores Griffin. Gonzalez, he was able to then score Endy Rodriguez. And then Brian Reynolds with a 2 RBI double ended up making it 7-0 Pirates. That brought home both Mangum and Gonzalez. 7-0 stood as your final score going back to Wednesday night. The Buccos bullpen from the 6th inning on, not allowing a single run, which is absolutely outstanding. They have been taking it on the shins for the past couple of weeks. They've clearly been one of the weaker spots on this team all season long. It's glad to see that they are able to batten down the hatches every now and again and keep things where they're supposed to be. Then you go to yesterday afternoon. Pirates, not the most star-studded, I would say, lineup thrown out there by Donnie Kelly to go and take the series. The bottom four of the lineup yesterday was just pretty ugly to look at. Marcell Ozuna, Jake Mangum, Jared Triolo, Henry Davis. But I'll be damned. That bottom of the lineup sure as hell shut me and a lot of other critics of some of these hitters up in a hurry. First, in the first inning, it was a hitter that actually has been pretty outstanding all season. He got the party started for the Bucks. One of the weirdest home runs you will see in a long time. Brandon Lowe, an inside the park home run. He hits one down the left field line. It hits just off of the top of the wall in just, in fair territory as well. Left fielder for the Cardinals. The ball ricochets off of his glove, and the outfielder crashes into the wall. No chance or really attempt from him to get back into the play. Lowe, even though it was on the field called as an outside the park home run, Lowe was running so fast he would have scored the inside the park easily, even though it still counted. So it was 1-0 Bucks in the top of the first. Brandon Lowe, his 700th hit, is an inside the park home run. Outstanding stuff from him. Braxton Ashcraft on the bump for the Buccos. Really his only blemish yesterday, an Ivan Herrera home run in the second inning. Not a bad pitch from Ashcraft either on that home run. Slider was low and away, and somehow, some way, a batter is going to run into some luck every now and again and be able to poke one out on a damn good pitch. That's all right, though. Game tied up at 1-1. This was when the Buccos bats at the bottom of the lineup that we have been ripping up one side and down the other, just like the bullpen for the past couple of weeks. That is when two names that we have been extremely hard on made a positive impact. Score was 2-1 Pirates. I don't really remember off the top of my head how they scored that run. 2-1 Pirates, and a 2-run single from Marcell Ozuna, of all people. Ozuna earlier in the game actually, kind of pissed us off. He, had a useless challenge of a pitch that he was unsuccessful in, really wasted in every single fashion one of the Pirates' challenges. But Ozuna, who is 0 for his last 10 heading into that at-bat yesterday, brings home 2 runs, makes it a 4-1 game. That ended up being the difference maker when it was all said and done. And then you go an inning later, I believe this was the 5th inning, Henry Davis homering on the first pitch he sees over the left field wall. Davis was in the midst of an 0 for 17 drought before that home run, and he is able to maybe get one that, he needs any sort of confidence in the world right now, does Davis. I'm hoping that really did well for him, because he has been struggling, and even big Henry Davis defenders like myself were admitting it was, maybe time to cut bait a little bit, maybe, see what you got. And some other guys, I do still think that Andy Rodriguez should be getting a fair shot here with the way he's been swinging a hot bat lately. But if Henry Davis can just find any sort of average, below average consistency with the bat, compared to just, hot dumpster fire garbage with, the bat, to where his, OPS and batting average right now rival that of Pirate pitchers from past years when, the era of baseball before the automatic designated hitter was in there. If Davis can just, be a tiny bit more consistent with the bat, just not look like an automatic out every time he struts up there, that'll do well, and it'll make his defense look 10 times better as well, which we know he is absolutely fantastic at. So Davis made it 5-1. All of this happened, all of this miracle hitting from the Pirates' bottom of the lineup occurred while Braxton Ashcraft, ladies and gentlemen, he was dealing. Ashcraft right now, I think we can safely say, is your bona fide number 2 best pitcher on this Pirates staff, behind only maybe the greatest pitcher of all time, young pitcher of all time. I'll start off with that. Paul Skeens. Ashcraft this year has hit the ground running, and he is running like he is Usain Bolt going for Olympic gold. Ashcraft has been absolutely lights out this season. He is becoming appointment television. Yesterday, Ashcraft, 7 innings pitched, 4 hits, 2 walks, 1 earned run, and a career high 9 strikeouts for Ashcraft. Dude is untouchable right now. Everything he is doing is correct, and Ashcraft is on a roll that I'm not sure many of us expected from him. I mean, we did expect him to improve from, the split time he spent in the rotation and bullpen from last year, but to just show no sort of second-year flaw or fatigue yet. I'll leave yet in there. Still a lot of baseball to be played here. It is just a truly outstanding surprise that this Bucco teams need, and that, teams like the Pirates that have playoff aspirations, they are going to need. Like, imagine tomorrow you go into a playoff series. Game 1, big, tall Paul Skeens is out there. Like to chalk that game 1 up as a win more often than not when you're throwing Skeens out there. Then you come back the next day and you got Ashcraft. Game 3 of the series, pick your poison of, Majinski, who's been all right. Mitch Keller, who, we know him more often than not. He's going to go out there and give you 6 strong innings. Jared Jones, we'll see what he has when he gets back. He can be a spitfire rising to, the bright light occasion in a do or die game. So this Pirates pitching staff really, really good. And Ashcraft is making it even more elite than it may already look on paper. In the month of May, Ashcraft, by the way, through 28 and a third innings pitched, he only allowed 6 earned runs. He struck out 26 and only walked 4, a 191 ERA and an 088 whip in the month of May for Ashcraft. Outstanding stuff from him. He is now up to 5 outings this season in which he has gone 6 2/3 innings pitched. That is the most in baseball. So keep it going, young Braxton Ashcraft. Final score from yesterday, as you see on your screen right there, is 6-2. Ashcraft outstanding. Brandon Lau, Connor Griffin, Henry Davis, Marcell Ozuna, all those guys chipping in the win yesterday. And dare I say, this Pirates lineup, we were skeptical after seeing what happened, in that Philly series and seeing what happened back on Tuesday night against the Cardinals in game 1 of that series. You were wondering how this team was going to stay afloat coming off of a bad stretch and down one of their best hitters in Ryan O'Hearn. Pitching staff, at least the starters, they have picked up their weight. The bullpen, baby step improvements. There's still a couple guys who look shaky, but were able to survive the past 2 nights. Hopefully they just keep on getting better. Maybe, an addition, somebody out of the rotation here when Jones gets back, that'll do. And then the Buccos bats, bringing up a young guy like Joe Stinson Garcia, bringing up another young guy that we're going to get to here in a moment. That has more than helped let this lineup get extended out and stay afloat without Ryan O'Hearn. Brandon Lau keeps doing Brandon Lau things, leads all of Major League Baseball in home runs by second baseman. Spencer Horwitz swinging a hot stick right now. Caught Nick Gonzalez. He's been hot all year long. You've got Marcell Ozuna. Please tell me that this Ozuna that has been few and far between seen, this season. Please tell me he is here to stay more often. Brian Reynolds, as the season goes along, we all know that he is going to, get hotter and hotter. I think Brian Reynolds, his best, month, watching all the seasons, he usually starts to become a legit dude in June. O'Neal Cruz, I mean, he is still chugging along. Still looks like he's better at left-handed pitching than he is right-handed pitching. Imagine saying that a year ago. But the guy out of all of this that I want to give my flowers to, and I don't really even think he is anywhere close to done this season, Connor Griffin. He is, I think, arrived, ladies and gentlemen. He has arrived, and he is now going, I believe, and I am predicting, on a crusade to this National League Rookie of the Year award. He is red hot, and ever since he turned 20, really, Connor Griffin has been a new MLB player. He took a couple of weeks to a month to get adjusted to a new level of competition, kind of like everything, every other level through his minor league progression, and now he is on a tear. Connor Griffin in the month of May, ladies and gentlemen, 338 batting average, a 493 slugging percentage, an 878 OPS, which is only going up and up. Griffin, going back to Wednesday here, ladies and gentlemen, he joined lists that have the names of Arky Vaughan, Roberto Clemente, and Ty Cobb, of all people. Top batting average in games played at age 20, Connor Griffin, 352. That is 2 points higher than Ty Cobb, 3 points higher than Ducky Joe Medwick, and 12 points higher than Al Kaline. And then Griffin has the most 4+ hit games in Pirates history before turning 21. He's got to Arky Vaughan, Dale Coogan, and Roberto Clemente only have one. Connor Griffin is doing stuff that we have not seen since Roberto Clemente. Right there for you to see, right there for you to look up and study. Griffin is on a roll right now, and I think he's figured out, major league pitching. I think he's figured out how this thing works. The power will come, still not, driving the ball out of the ballpark, like we all think he can on a consistent basis quite yet, but he's getting the ball to the outfield. He's finding gaps. Even if he, just hits an infield ground ball, he gets on, and he is an absolute threat to steal second, third, and even home if he wants to every single time he reaches first base. A single is as good as a double or even a triple with Connor Griffin right now, and I'm really hoping that this is, him getting over that adaptation phase that he probably needed the first month here or so. So we'll see what we get moving forward here from Griffin, from all of these Pittsburgh Pirate guys. I'm leaning towards this is the real 2026 Pittsburgh Pirates. They still are fighting. They still are staying in it. Yes, the past couple of weeks, they looked pretty much DOA in every single game they went to, but I'm hoping that this is the Bucs team that continues on moving forward, the team that doesn't get extremely low in the lows, and that they continue to move forward and claw out of tough situations. So we'll see what happens next. The Bucs, they are in action tonight. They start a new series, a weekend series against the Toronto Blue Jays. It'll be Bubba Chandler versus Kevin Gausman tonight. I believe that is a pretty tough matchup there for the Buccos. Bubba Chandler still struggling. I'm really waiting for that breakout, the light bulb lights up performance from Bubba Chandler. Maybe he rises to the occasion of an elite pitcher like Kevin Gausman. Saturday, Sunday, it'll be Paul Skeens versus Patrick Corbin, and then it will be Dylan Cease versus Mitch Keller. So a tough series pitching-wise here for the Pirates, except for maybe Saturday. And the Pirates, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, they are getting a little bit of help. And every single bat that you can add to this lineup right now will be greatly appreciated in the absence of Ryan O'Hearn. You first started with Connor Griffin, then you went to Joe Stinson Garcia, and now, ladies and gentlemen, get ready to learn the name Esmeralyn Valdez, the Pirates' number 9 overall prospect, one of their top position prospects in the pipeline now that Connor Griffin has graduated from prospect status. Valdez coming up to the big leagues. The Pirates yesterday calling up the Dominican prospect, 22 years old. Billy Cook got optioned down to AAA Indianapolis. That is not really too much of a surprise right there. Billy Cook, a dude who has been, used sparingly as a defensive replacement or pinch runner lately, and a guy who plays similar positions to Esmeralyn Valdez. Valdez, corner outfield guy, first baseman as well. Billy Cook, same thing like that. The only thing different is that Valdez, he has the potential to be an outstanding power bat to this lineup from the right side of the plate. so far this year, Valdez hitting .253 in AAA with 10 home runs already on the season and 29 RBIs. From, the things that you look at for Valdez here, he's got a big, home run hitter type of swing. He might, strike out and struggle a little bit here to begin his big league career. I'm not going to, hit him too hard for that, but when he makes contact, it goes a long way. So hopefully Valdez continuing here his progression into the big leagues, and maybe he gets off to a hot start. In the lineup tonight is Valdez, batting 8th in the lineup, ahead of Jake Mangum, but behind another Dominican friend of his, Endy Rodriguez. Valdez looking to make a big impact in his major league debut coming up here tonight. The future is nigh for the Buccos. Got Paul Skeens, Bubba Chandler, Jared Jones will be back here soon enough, Braxton Ashcraft, all those guys, the future of the Pirates pitching staff. Now we're starting to see it with the lineup maybe a little bit. Griffin's here. Justinson Garcia gets the start in center field tonight. No Brian Reynolds. He is out of the lineup for the first time this year. Nothing injury-wise or anything like that. And now Esmeralyn Valdez. Get ready. The young Bucks are here to play, and they are ready to make some noise. At least that is what we're hoping for. So let's go Bucks, see what they can do. First pitch coming up in pretty much an hour from now here against the Toronto Blue Jays up in Canada, which has been, I think, a house of horrors lately for the Pirates. 2 big series here for the Bucks. I think they kept the season on the rails for now with that last series win against the Cardinals, but you want to truly get us to buy back in that, yes, this team is different. You go and you beat a Toronto's Blue Jays team that I think you struggled against over the past couple of years, and then you go back home and you handle business against the Chicago Cubs. Hopefully that is what is ahead here for the Bucks in the near future. 5 of you in here right now. Going to switch gears in a moment here over to hockey. Just a small hockey story. Like I said, news here on this Friday is some slim pickings. No real big Steelers news here over the past couple of days, except for their training camp schedule getting released. We'll dissect that here to kick off the extra Pittsburgh sports news. But we are going to get into hockey here in a few moments. Concepts, though, real quick. In the comment section, what is going on here? Concepts, let's go Bucks. Indeed, their concepts. As a matter of fact, Pirates pregame just came on my TV screen over here to my right. Hopefully, bright times are ahead, and that last week, 2 weeks that the Pirates had, going back to their West Coast road trip through that home series against the Phillies, and then do that first game against the Cardinals. Hopefully that was just a blip on the radar and not the status quo for your Buccos. We've seen stretches like that derail and absolutely disintegrate Pirate seasons, whether it was right off the start of the year or, when you hit midsummer and you're trying to stay in contention. Hopefully the Pirates are able to keep things up and keep in the race. It's all you can do this time of season. You can't, win the division or make the playoffs at this point in the season, but you can sure as hell take yourself out of it with a bad stretch of games. Hopefully the Pirates limit those bad stretch of games to, the smallest degree. Moving over, like I said, from baseball to hockey, just a small hockey story here, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, right now, overseas, you have the IIHF Hockey World Championship Tournament going on. Got various countries playing in that. It's kind of like the Olympics, except it doesn't have all of the fanfare of the Olympics. And to be fair, not many NHL players of, high worth go over there, except for guys like this. Sidney Crosby. Of course, at this point in his career, he's going to want to play as much hockey as possible. And honestly, Sid, probably best for him to play in this tournament, actually. Keep his body warmed up and engaged so that his summer is shorter and he won't need any time more than, usual when he comes back after the summer to get back into hockey shape. Crosby over there in Switzerland where this tournament is taking place. talked with Josh Yohe of the Athletic, covers the Pirates, or covers the Penguins, exclusively. Caught up with Crosby, and according to Yohe, Crosby making it clear that retirement is not something on the forefront of his thinking right now. According to Yohe, Crosby said he wants to play for as many years as possible, and he recently said, Sid, that he'd go year to year on future contracts, but it doesn't mean that he is retiring anytime soon. Really, this is not the most shocking news in the world. I think we all agree Crosby seems like one of those guys. He is just absolutely in love with the game, and, will have, a tough time letting it go someday. And I've said it on here before multiple times, and I'll say it again. Sidney Crosby could be the Tom Brady of this generation, where you're talking about an all-time great, maybe the all-time great of the sport. You can ask if that's a generational thing or not. Crosby by far is the best hockey player that I've ever seen in my lifetime, and do so like Tom Brady for a stretch well into his 40s if he wanted to. I mean, sure, things like skating and all that will eventually wear down, bit by bit over time. But one thing Crosby has, he is still one of the highest IQ hockey players in the game right now, and he is just thinking the game on another level, and he's still putting up points coming off of a not so bad season by his standards whatsoever. Led the team in points per game again at 39 years old. Crosby entering into the final year of his contract. I think another thing that Yohe put in there is that Crosby right now focusing on going year to year with his contracts, not thinking, that of retirement. He's thinking more of, all right, what money can I, save here to help grow the team around me? I think that's another thing going on with Sid right now. But Sid not retiring. Wayne Gretzky even echoed my sentiment on the Pat McAfee show going back to yesterday. Gretzky was on with Pat McAfee. McAfee, of course, Pittsburgh native, bringing up Crosby, and Gretzky saying, quote, Sidney Crosby is our Tom Brady and our LeBron James. I was on the ice with him when he was 14 years old, and I could see how good he was then. He should play for as long as he wants to play, and doing that, he will for Sidney Crosby. Crosby, well over 1,700 career points. That's seventh all time. He's played over 1,400 career games, and with the trajectory he's going, he could reach 2,000 career points when it's all said and done. He is still producing at an elite first-line center rate, and excited to hear from Josh Yohe that is going to continue. Sid being the team first player, just please stay in good health through the rest of this tournament here, Sid. The last thing we need is another Olympic, type of thing going back to last season. So glad to hear from Josh Yohe that Crosby, even though we all could probably guess he was thinking this way, it is confirmed now. Sidney Crosby, he's going to play for quite some time. How many more years do you think he has in the tank here? I mean, honestly, thinking here about Sid, he could go another, 4 years if he wants to? Maybe 5 years? I mean, the only downside to him playing that long is that I'm looking at the comments of the post on your screen right now. People photoshopping him in a Montreal Canadiens jersey. It's not going to happen, you poutine-eating jabronis. It's not going to happen. Sid's a Penguin for life. Daydream all you want. Toronto and Canada hockey media can be, a bit crazy at times. They still try to, talk that into reality. It's not going to happen here. So Sid coming back here, going to Sid coming back, going to keep playing for a good while. What say you? You happy about this? Obviously I am. I think everybody is going to be happy about this. How long does Sid play? I'm going to give him till... How old is Ovechkin right now? Ovechkin's like, 40? Ovechkin's got one more year left in him, I think. Or maybe Ovechkin's 41 right now. I think he goes till, next year. I give Sid till 43. honestly. Maybe he, eventually, gives up the first line center role to his successor. But Crosby right now, think he can go another 4 years strong. What say you? Let me know in the comments section below. 8 of you in here right now as we are about 40 minutes into the show, wrapping up the Pittsburgh Sports Week here. SESR Dad, Sid, still the best player in the world. Yeah, I mean, you can still say, the most talented player in the world is Connor McDavid or Nathan McKinnon, something like that. But you want to talk about the most, elite upstairs in the brain here, player of all time that can do everything on the ice on par with, some of the greats in the league. Crosby is still that, and he's going to be that until the day he retires, in my opinion. Sid didn't have to cheat. Sid is the real GOAT. Concepts, of course. I make the Tom Brady reference, and you bring that up there. Concepts. Love you for that. Spinning it back to football. Yeah, didn't need to cheat. Though hockey really is one of those sports that you can't cheat too much. I mean, really, it's working your ass off. I mean, hell, go turn on. I'm not sure. I think hockey playoff game is on tonight. Go turn on NHL playoffs, and you will see the most high stakes, high paced, highly entertaining sport on the planet in NHL playoff hockey. That is for sure here. Going back to other couple of concepts comments right now. Concepts going a little bit outside the box here with these ones. Henry Ruggs apparently trying to make a pitch for a comeback. Your thoughts? He was fun to watch at Bama, but hard to justify at this point. Really glad, Concepts, that you added in that hard to justify at this point little quote on the end there. Henry Ruggs, yeah, turn on the tape from him in college. Turn on, the tape of how he runs and how he speeds. Unfortunately, speed is what got him into that whole mess. I'm sure everybody by now knows the Henry Ruggs situation. One thing that, even if Ruggs, even if there was something where he served his time and all that, kind of like almost like the Deshaun Watson situation. Well, different, legal troubles there, but a dude who's been away from football that long, I mean, what's he really going to provide? You think he was keeping in football shape, doing whatever he was doing in prison or wherever he was? Not going to head down that road. I think, Henry Ruggs, if we're being honest here, what is he going to provide that, a guy like Caden Weegan right now can't even, produce? I mean, I'm putting Henry Ruggs up against, guys like Caden Weegan right now. And before, we move on to other guys in the depth chart, at best, you're looking at Henry Ruggs as WR4 on this roster. And I don't think, he's going to be worth all the hassle to, get a wide receiver for. I may even take Juju back over Ruggs at that point. Saw that there was a little bit of a online social media interaction connecting Juju back to the Steelers. Obviously nothing substantial to that, just, pondering online. Another thing here from Concepts. Didn't understand the Rams selecting Ty Simpson at 13, but his measurables are identical to Stafford. Stafford is 6'3", 214 pounds. Ty Simpson, 6'2", same weight. Random comment. I don't know. Yeah, no, I just saw, what was it, yesterday? They signed Stafford to a 1-year extension, so he'll be the Rams quarterback for at least the next 2 seasons. I do think this is sort of like the Rams taking a page out of the Green Bay Packers book, taking a pretty raw kid from college who needs some refinement. I do think Ty Simpson is, going to be a better runner than Matt Stafford is. I think that is, obvious to see, but I think they're taking a page from the Packers book, where even though you were close to playing in the Super Bowl again, I think kind of like the Packers, you go back to, what was it, 2017, 2018, whatever that was, whatever year that was, when the Packers took Jordan Love. The Packers that season, they were 1 win away from the Super Bowl. What were the, Rams this year? 1 win from the Super Bowl. what, Simpson going to sit for at least 2 years, maybe even 3 behind, an all-time great quarterback. I think, Jordan Love did that with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, just think they're on the Packers plan there. Also, if you're the Rams, you're still pushing all in with Matt Stafford right now, and you've got an outstanding young roster around Stafford. When are you going to be that high to take a, legit first-round pedigree quarterback again? Was Ty Simpson, by far the most intriguing prospect coming out of the draft recently? No, but the Rams, I don't think they're planning on selecting that high again, and they want to get their insurance policy for the future while they were able to do it. So I understand the move. I also understand, the frustrations of guys like, Stafford on that team and some defensive players, some of the offensive guys like, hey, could have used another weapon there. I think a lot of people had McCollum and pegged to the Rams in that spot. Didn't happen. They went with the Packers plan right now. Truth Thong in here. Welcome, Truth. Steelers O-line seems questionable. Guys shifting around in OTAs. Very weak part of the team other than Frazier. Do agree, the offensive line does, have some worries, and the shifting around in OTAs can, scare you a little bit. I will admit, though, Mike McCarthy saying that he wants to get the left side of the offensive line set in stone. I do like that we have that sort of just common football knowledge, and, planning right now. I mean, could you have guessed in your wildest dreams of Mike Tomlin, saying, hey, we really got to focus on this important position that is key to our future success, or this position? Hell, he neglected the quarterback position for long enough, kept on bringing in Band-Aid fixes. The offensive line, he shuffled around even way worse than Mike McCarthy. Took a dude in Broderick Jones who never played right tackle, placed him at right tackle for, the sake of compensating and appeasing Dan Moore Jr., who is only here for 1 more year. So I'm cool with the moves, and it's not like that either, Truth. You're going and taking Troy Fautanu and Mason McCormick. They're going over to the left side, but let's not act like they're children at that position. I mean, yeah, they are still young in their NFL careers, but they played that in college. They know it'll be like riding a bike for them instead of going over to the other side of the line and learning it from scratch here. So there is a tiny, pinch of worry that comes with moving around the offensive line, but I don't think it's as big as it was before. It's not Broderick Jones going over to the right where he never played before. It's not Kendrick Green, for God's sake, going from guard to playing center, something that he never did in his college career. It's 2 guys going from a side that, yes, they looked good at, moving them back over to a side that they played in college, and who knows, maybe even they can be great at it. I'm especially expecting that in the case of Troy Fautanu. And also, they keep that chemistry as well. Instead of Zach Frazier looking to his right, relaying the protection to McCormick and Fautanu, he gets to turn to his left now, and he's still got the 2 same guys there. So I'm cool with that. I'm loving that Mike McCarthy has the plan. Hey, let's get our left side of our line, figured out first. That's the more important side, protecting the blind side of the quarterback. So I'm here for it right now, that movement that they did, especially in Fautanu's case. Really think that you put Fautanu at left tackle, he's able to, even more than Broderick Jones really ever could, lock down that spot, and you get to see Maxi Honachor, who's got sky-high potential, playing his natural position and getting, off on the right foot, hopefully, in the NFL. McCarthy said O-line is set, left guard, left tackle, left guard, and center. Interesting that Troy and Mason will solidify the left side. O-line is extremely strong this year. Love how they've built and developed that area. I wouldn't go as far to say that the O-line is extremely strong quite yet, but will I admit that moving Fautanu and McCormick over to the left side, which is the more important side of the line, does that have me, raising maybe the floor of expectations of this offensive line and how good they can be? I would say yes. And also, you're not going to be going through the whole moving Jennings Dunker to play left guard, someplace he didn't play in college. Moving Maxi Honachor, who's only played right tackle for his college career, going and playing left. So would love to see how this offensive line shakes out. I definitely do think there is a plan in place, and we all know that the coaching staff, I mean, hell, we're going from Pat Meyer to, James Campen and Jari Evans, two outstanding offensive line coaches. Well, Campen, we know, is a good coach, and Evans, a Hall of Fame offensive lineman. I'd like to think that this offensive line is going to get figured out and maybe hit their full stride sooner than expected here. Was bouncing in and out of last show. Missed the talk about Williams gone from the Bucs. Big Skeens and Griffins fan. I mean, yeah, how can you not be a Skeens and Griffin fan and really fan of everybody on this team? I might start taking up some serious Braxton Ashcraft stock right now, because dude is looking like he is going to be a legit, 1A, 1B compliment to Paul Skeens. And you know what? Another guy that I did not mention, who is to say, now maybe I'll look at Twitter here and I'll get an update on what he's been doing so far tonight. Pitching right now down in Greensboro, the high A affiliate of the Pirates, you've got Seth Hernandez. Hernandez just absolutely blew away the competition at low A. I think he's doing it again at high A. Who's to say that we can't see from this 19-year-old pitcher, Seth Hernandez, a meteoric, or a rocket-like ascension through the Pirates farm system like Connor Griffin here. Maybe not, where Hernandez is in the rotation, this year, next year, something like that. But let's say for, craps and giggles here, Pirates do make the playoffs, right? You got this absolute flamethrower, Seth Hernandez down in the minors right now. Looks like his stuff can play in the major leagues today. Bring him up, put him in a late inning relief role for a playoff run. And then next year you can see what he has, in the rotation. Next year, I think you have I won't say big possibility, but you have a pretty decent, or at least a half decent chance where your rotation eligibles for the Pirates are Paul Skeens, Mitch Keller, Braxton Ashcraft, Jared Jones, Bubba Chandler, Seth Hernandez. And I'll throw in Carmen Majinski in there as well. But I think he's more going to be your bullpen guy still. Pick any 5 guys out of that 6, and you have a top 5, maybe even top 3 rotation in all of baseball. That is easy. Easy all day long right there. Would love to see Seth Hernandez and Paul Skeens on the same pitching staff before, given the current economics of baseball, Skeens' time here comes. At least I'm hoping and holding out that changes somehow, some way in this CBA coming up. Concepts here again. Read a while back, Eagles made an offer for TJ Watt that included Nolan Smith a few years ago. Well, Smith was just busted driving 137 miles per hour, which reminded of that, supposed offer. Did not see that offer. Also, not surprised whatsoever. Gasp. A Georgia player got busted for speeding. Color me shocked. Sky is blue. Not today. It's gray because of the rain clouds. Water's wet. Hell is hot. Nothing really to truly be surprised about there. Catcher playing my whole career, as did I, from SCSR Dad. 2 of a kind right here. Though he's struggling at the plate, I do believe in Henry Davis. Like I said, if he could just figure it out a tiny bit with the bat, he'll be golden. That defense, I mean, can we, put in there? I know it kind of goes hand in hand with a bat, even more so than what we realize. But Henry Davis, he's a gold glove catcher. If he was just average with the bat, I think, a tiebreaker for Davis and, other catchers bidding for a gold glove would probably be, all right, how are you with the bat? If Davis can just be a little bit below average with the bat, he could be a gold glove catcher. I fully believe that. 5 of you still hanging around in here right now. Approaching an hour into the show here. Gonna wrap things up here soon. Get going here this evening and get into the weekend. Looking here again, seeing if there is an update on what Seth Hernandez is doing with the Greensboro Grasshoppers here tonight. This was an hour ago. Hernandez had two strikeouts in a scoreless first inning. So Hernandez is still got that strikeout stuff. I believe in his last start, he ran into a tiny bit of walk troubles, but still his strikeout stuff was up there at a pretty damn good rate. Seth Hernandez so far tonight for Greensboro, yeah, kind of like what I just said. Maybe he's running into a little bit of command trouble here, or maybe batters are a little bit more patient facing Hernandez. Seth Hernandez tonight, Greensboro. I wonder if this is his final stat line or if he is still going. This is from about 10 minutes ago. 2 2/3 innings pitched, 3 hits, 3 runs, 4 walks, 5 strikeouts. So not a, hang it on the fridge report card there for Seth Hernandez, but strikeout stuff still playing. 5 Ks through just under 3 innings. That'll do. If he can just wrangle in some of that control, maybe like a Bubba Chandler a little bit. I'm not ruling out whatsoever that you bring up Hernandez end of the season. Maybe you go into the playoffs and he comes out of your bullpen and, does his thing for an inning, not getting stretched out as a starter quite yet. I'd do that in a heartbeat. Looking here through Twitter as we go through things here. Esmeralyn Valdez, number he'll wear tonight. Wore 85 in spring training. He will wear number 55. 20th player in Pirate history to wear that number. The latest Pittsburgh Pirates to wear 55. Josh Bell, Russell Martin. Trying to remember some other guys who wore 55. Jason DeLay, the legend of Jason DeLay. Who can forget him? Wearing number 55. Also, seeing here the Kansas City Royals, speaking of catchers, they just designated Pirate legend Elias Diaz. Thought he was still at the Rockies. Didn't know he ended up on the Royals. How about that? Looking here, this from John Drecker. Does some work on, contract dealings and that for the Pirates. The Pirates just signed 18-year-old Australian Ashton Kennedy. Kennedy, a right-handed pitcher who also has first base and outfield capabilities. There's an interesting international signee for the Buccos. Good stuff from them. Seeing lots of down on the farm stuff here for the Pirates. There's a cold pitcher. Troy Fautanu and Jeremy Bernard from OTAs a couple of days ago for the Steelers. Let's get right into it now, ladies and gentlemen. Extra Pittsburgh sports news for this Friday, May 22nd. It's going to be in really no particular rhyme or reason order, except for maybe, sport by sport. Did want to start in football, where we kind of left off right there. Yesterday, the Steelers, feels like this happened a bit earlier than usual. Usually we wait until a little bit into June to hear this type of news, but the schedule for training camp at St. Vincent College in Latrobe, Pennsylvania, came out yesterday, and there are some interesting tidbits here as to changes from Mike Tomlin's training camp philosophy and plan to Mike McCarthy's here. The Steelers, they will start training camp on Wednesday, July 29th. I believe that is pretty much on par for a start time for training camp. It'll be July 28th, that players report, so we'll have a ton to talk about that day. Players usually get settled into their dorms, but some do speak with the media, and answer a few questions. That'll be a busy day. They got practices that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. They take Sunday off. I think they take all Sundays off. All practices are going to be at 11 a.m., except, of course, for one, which we'll get into here in a second. That 11 a.m. start time, morning start. Remember when Mike Tomlin always used to, I'm not sure if this was, confirmed for this exact reason or not, but Tomlin, he would always have practices in the afternoon and trying to get the guys out in the heat. Well, now we can digest a little bit more some of the practices. I know we've come on here after some Steeler practice days going back to last season, and it'd be tough, turning around what happened at, 1:50 or 1:30, 2 o'clock to then come to you guys live and tell you all what happened. But now we have a little bit more time to digest everything that goes on at training camp. Also, the Friday night lights practice, it is no more. Instead, it is now on Saturday, August 8th, the practice that the Steelers hold in front of a bunch of fans at Latrobe Memorial Stadium, and it is a 6 o'clock start time for that practice. So the Friday night lights practice is gone. It's a little bit sad that happened. Also, I guess it's a good thing it's on a weekend now, so maybe more people that can't go to that, all the time are able to go to that now. I do hope that one tradition does take place, though, and that they, still go over on school buses and all that. Hopefully that is able to take place. So Friday night light practice is no more for the Steelers in their training camp, and there's the training camp schedule. Hopefully this is going to help prepare the team better than years past. Also, a few other last second things here for football news here today. Not too much of it. Former Steeler defensive lineman Isaiah Loudermilk, kind of forgot he was still unsigned. He just signed with the Minnesota Vikings yesterday. I think Loudermilk, who's he following there? New Javon Hargrave was up there. Some tells me it was another former Steeler defensive lineman or defensive player in Minnesota. Oh, James Pierre. James Pierre's there. So Isaiah Loudermilk following James Pierre up to Minnesota. He'll join a couple familiar defensive faces up there. Brian Flores, James Pierre, I believe Alexander, the former DB's coach. Loudermilk also leaves just one player from the 2021 Steelers draft class remaining with the team. The penultimate draft class for former GM Kevin Colbert. Pat Freiermuth, the last one standing from that group. Najee Harris, gone. Is he even going to, play football this year? That's a hell of a question. Kendrick Green, long gone. I think he's still, just a backup guard for the Buffalo Bills at best. Dan Moore Jr., maybe aside from Freiermuth, Dan Moore Jr., the most beneficial pick from the 2021 draft class, because we all know that DMJ, he went and got a big payday with the Tennessee Titans. That turned into a third-round compensatory pick for the Steelers, and I think Dan Moore, that pick was what pick was his? I think it was Jennings Dunker was Dan Moore Jr.'s compensatory pick. That's what that turned into. Isaiah Loudermilk, of course. I think Quincy Roche, Buddy Johnson, and Trey Norwood and Presley Harvin, they were the other four draft picks that I did not mention. 9 draft picks from the 2021 draft class. Pat Freiermuth, the only one remaining with the team. My goodness. Kevin Colbert. Again, I, preempt this statement with this. Colbert, thank you. You were outstanding GM, helped us win Super Bowls, but my God, were you god awful drafting at the end of your tenureship. So let's hope Pat Freiermuth continues to hang around here for another little while. At least we can still laugh at the Cleveland Browns too. Browns 2 days ago, they were going through OTAs as well, and Todd Monken, former Ravens OC, who's now their head coach, a little bit pissed off at his quarterbacks. Not sure who exactly he was referring to here, whether it was, the one of 80 quarterbacks the Browns have that are all not that good, whether it was Watson, Sanders, Gabriel, Taylor Green, who the hell knows. Todd Monken upset that the Browns quarterbacks were throwing interceptions in 7-on-7. The quote here from Monken, "Yeah, we threw interceptions in 7-on-7 for God's sake. I mean, who does that? There's no pass rush. I mean, it's embarrassing." Can still F the Cleveland Browns, even though, we're in no hot position right now in our franchise's history. The Browns are always going to brown, and we can take happiness in that. Last thing here for the Steelers, congratulations today to Eli Heidenreich, Steelers' 7th-round pick. Heidenreich graduating from the Naval Academy today. He is now officially here, I believe, Heidenreich, 2nd lieutenant in the United States Marine Corps. Outstanding stuff there from Heidenreich, and now he is able to come and be a absolute weapon of mass destruction on the field. Use some of that military background into on-field work. Hopefully we get to see big things from Heidenreich. I'm definitely rooting for him, maybe even blindly, just purely from being a Pittsburgh guy playing for the Steelers. Last 2 things here for the day. Last 3 things here for the day. 1 in hockey, 2 in baseball. Mentioned baseball-wise that we'd be coming back to Jared Jones. Ben Cherington did say that Jones will have at least 1 more start coming up tomorrow, Saturday, in AAA. That'll be probably his final rehab start before he rejoins the Bucks at some point next week. He's eligible to come off of the injured list after his start on Saturday. So Jared Jones' return is imminent. That is good to hear. Also, there was a MLB mock draft that came out from MLB Pipeline today. No, we're focused on the on-field work for the Pirates and assessing that. But, I mean, hey, pay attention to the draft, because all of a sudden, you look here, Ben Cherington, last 3 drafts, he made the best of the first-round picks, in my opinion. And in the latest MLB Pipeline mock draft, Georgia Tech catcher Vaughn Lackey, I really hope I pronounced his first name correctly, he goes to the Pirates at 5th overall. Would not be too upset with that. But also, it just tells you to, as good as Cherington is identifying, pitchers and such, tells you how bad he is at identifying catchers. Because you got Henry Davis, Andy Rodriguez, Joey Bart, Rafael Flores. In a 2-year, maybe even 3-year span, neither one of those 4 guys has been able to step up as the guy behind the plate for the Pirates. And they'd be adding a catcher into that mix, a 5th guy, a catcher from Georgia Tech. I bet you he won't need much seasoning in the minor leagues. We'll be seeing what goes on there. Would give, the catcher, this Vaughn Lackey, the benefit of the doubt, because Cherington has been swinging a hot bat lately when it comes to the draft, but would also need to see him, be a guy at the catching position before I get my hopes too high. And the last thing here for the day related to Pittsburgh sports news, happy birthday yesterday to maybe what will become the most obscure and forgot about Penguin in Penguins history, Ryan Graves, celebrating his birthday yesterday. Don't mean to, kick a guy on his birthday here, but maybe you see if Kyle Dubas and his workings this offseason gets out from that contract. We'll have to wait and see. And the last thing here for the day, this is, outside of the realm of Pittsburgh sports. It's even outside the realm of sports we talk about on this channel. Just absolutely devastating news to really the entire sports world. Kyle Busch, NASCAR driver, suddenly, tragically passing away yesterday. It was crazy how quickly things unfolded for him from, what we know. But thoughts and prayers to his family, his loved ones. That is just absolutely terrible. 41 years old, nobody should be going out that early here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think that just about wraps things up here this evening and for the week here on the Steel City Sports Report. Stay here. Going to go through these last few comments right here, and then we have an announcement about the channel to talk about. Concepts here was a first baseman and pitcher until college. Missed those days. We need to play in a SCSR scrimmage. I mean, you name the time, you name the place there, Concepts. Be sure, I'd be up for baseball. Do we go to the softball? But I'd be up for it. Thing is that me and SCSR Dad will be fighting over who is catcher. I guess I'll take first base a little bit, assuming unless Concepts is on the team. Played pretty much everywhere growing up through baseball, but definitely an infield spot, and especially behind the dish is where I ultimately settled in. Concepts, a question here about training camp. What about backs on backers? I am certain I have no idea, Concepts, and we aren't going to know that until we get to Latrobe itself here in about 2 months, because, I mean, Tomlin gone, you always knew how training camp was going to go. Some days you'd be in pads, some days you wouldn't. You'd have backs on backers. You'd have 11 on 11, 7 on 7. You'd have 7 shots, the goal line 2-point conversion drill. Who the hell knows if any of that is coming back? I would still like to see, back on backers. I think that is a universally, got to have that drill. Maybe, Steeler players ask for certain drills to continue from the previous Tomlin regime, but I have no idea, Concepts, and none of us will until we actually see what Mike McCarthy is thinking about when we get to St. Vincent here in a couple months. Booth, fire. Also loved watching Najee play here. Yeah. Najee, I think he would have been much more loved and be more favorable in Steelers' eyes if he just wasn't a first-round pick. A dude who rarely got hurt, never fumbled, and churned out, 1,000-yard seasons. If he were, a 4th-round pick or something like that, then people would have loved him a whole hell of a lot more. But unfortunately, did not live up to the first-round pedigree. Imagine, going back, we said, holy hell, this guy's going to be the next Derrick Henry. How far we were off in that assessment there. Last comment here from Concepts, Keanu Benton breakout year incoming. I mean, he's got a new defensive coordinator to work with, a new defensive line coach. I do want to try, on all sides of the ball, but especially, some guys on defense, try to keep an open mind as to how they're going to, perform under new coaching staff, hearing a new voice, everything like that. So I'm intrigued, could guys that we are counting out like Keanu Benton, maybe even, kind of rude to say, hey, I'm not counting this guy to do anything big, like Jack Sawyer, maybe those guys pan out to be better than what we think they can be. And then maybe, you get a couple of guys that, regress after they looked good last year. Maybe a couple of guys find the fountain of youth. I think, Cam Hayward, he's got that unlocked, but TJ Watt, could he have all of a sudden, again, breakout year at age 32? I'm not going to rule anything out. I mean, you can definitely come up with, logical thought, preconceived notions here, but I'm not ruling much of anything out of the realm of possibility. That is for sure. So, all right. I think that is just about going to wrap it up tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you all for joining me. I did say all this week that there was an announcement for the channel, and that announcement is that we have another break here for the channel coming up. I know it's, in the midst of OTAs, but going to take, the opportunity to recharge the batteries. Once again, we'll have one more live stream coming up at some point early next week, whether that's, Monday, which I'm going to leave as questionable. I know Memorial Day, tons of people got stuff going on in my neck of the woods. The weather ain't supposed to be too pretty that day, but Memorial Day, I know tons of people got stuff going on So that includes myself. So some point, whether it's Monday or Tuesday next week, we'll have another live stream recapping everything that went on over the weekend here on the channel. And then that will be the last live stream for TBD. At least, not the rest of that week, probably not the week after as well. Of course, there will be, some way, somehow, if like the most insane news happens, like let's say, the Steelers make a blockbuster trade. Don't think that's going to happen. Let's say the Penguins, Kyle Dubas. This couldn't happen, but speaking hypothetically here, he makes a big play for like Austin Matthews or something. Again, that's, not conceivable because of the NHL playoffs still going on. Or maybe the Pirates, make a big move. If something like that happens, then I'll try to the best of my ability during that break to, go live and get something out to you guys, or at least, get an SCSR uncut out to you guys. But going to go on a little bit of a hiatus here with the channel, take a little bit of a break. Got a lot of stuff, going on lately, most of it pretty good. So we'll come back here one last time on Monday or Tuesday, one of those days, recap what went on over the weekend. And then after that, I will fill you guys in when the time is right on what the future, proceedings of the channel will be here. So I want to thank you all. Thank you all in advance for understanding, taking a break coming up here in the near future, starting, next week. And on your way out, on your way out, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so that you don't miss a thing here on the channel. Again, like this live stream, share this live stream, leave a comment in the comment section after the fact if you have anything on your mind, or you watch this live stream back and you think of something you want to say, feel free to put that stuff in there. Check out the channel at Steel City SR on Facebook, Instagram, and X, and tune back in later tonight for a new edition of SCSR 60. That, ladies and gentlemen, I am Brady Vini. This has been another week here on the Steel City Sports Report. I want to thank you all. Have a good rest of your Memorial Day weekend. I want to thank you all as always. And we'll meet back here Monday or Tuesday, one of those 2 days. Let's go Bucks. Thank you all. Have a good rest of your night and weekend. Peace.